Hello, we're back. Three old friends and music never ends. We're up to our 58th playlist. And this is our fourth, I guess, in a series, alphabet of band names, basically. That's not what it's called. But this one is P through T. So band names that begin letter P through the letter T. And so I guess that leaves us one more. But anyway, yeah, it's been fun doing these so far. You guys have any thoughts about it before we get going?
Yeah, I've enjoyed them. It's only because it's opened up us to so much new music, and we were talking before of that. Yeah, you get engrossed in listening to the songs and hearing them, and hearing bands that you've never heard, and or hearing songs that you've heard in the past, or just getting reacquainted. And I thought this one was, like the last one was highly intensive. This was kind of a fun one in a lot of ways. It's a little serious at the beginning, but towards the end, it's almost like like a rocking, hey, let's all get together. We have a lot of rocking songs there that are just fun songs. So yeah, I've been enjoying it immensely.
I'm surprised at how well some of the playlists flow just from doing that. And I don't know if that's just our own great energy that we have as three friends, but it just seems like the flow seems real good, and it does get you into narrowing down a little bit too, because when you're looking at just one letter, you might have some of the letters might have 10 or 12 pretty good artists or bands that you can choose from, and others maybe there's only 3 or 4 or 5 that you can really pick from, and so it makes it a little bit more challenging. But I think we've navigated it pretty well, and as we jump into it, we'll see. This one turned out to be a pretty good playlist.
Yeah, I agree. And the just kind of echoing what you guys both have said. Well, looking at you're kind of forced by the letters to maybe there's only so many bands under some letters like Q. It's like first thought would probably be Queen for many of us, but we have to have other stuff in there, and so it's kind of really prompted us to dig deeper on some of these. The last playlist, I ended up putting Nine Inch Nails on, which wasn't my first choice, but somebody snagged Nirvana, so that's where I went. And you can, whatever about how those songs went together, but it's fun to challenge myself. And we'll get to this in a little bit. I found a band or two so far in this process, particularly this time, that I like and I want to look into more. So with that, I started the list this time, and a nod to Jose. I put Fish on. If you don't know about Jose and Fish, watch some other of these on here, and you'll get a better idea. He and I went to see Fish. You guys went to see Fish too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Where's it? Folsom Field right there.
Yeah.
and we saw them down here in Austin at the new whatever the new play, the Moody Arena or whatever it is. So yeah, so I put on the song Horn, and so when we got tickets to go see Fish, I'm realizing I really don't know their music very much at all. Jose had talked about it. I knew they covered a lot of albums during these special shows they do and things like that. But other than I think within the first couple of albums, which back in the day I heard people play, I didn't really know. So I did a kind of well, it's hard to do a deep dive because they have so much music, but I looked kind of scanned around on Apple Music, and the one that really jumped out to me, there are others that I really like, but the one that really jumped out to me the most at first is the song Horn. And Jose can tell you, he told me a little bit about what it's about, so I won't try to do that. I'll just tell you why I picked it. There's a singing part at the beginning, pretty short, just a couple of lines, and then goes into this very, not very long, but this long instrumental part, particularly featuring the guitar. And I don't know, it's just something about the arrangement of that. There's so much feeling in it, which I think fits in with the theme of the song. Um, but one thing that it's been bugging me, it reminds me of some Steely Dan song. There is something in the arrangement. It was like the first couple of albums. I can't quite. I started listening to I kind of went through the Steely Dan songs trying to figure out which one this reminded me of. And the closest I can get is Fire in the Hole off their first album. But I think there's more. It may not be quite it, but it stands on its own. I'm not saying they copied Steely Dan or anything, but I could just go on and on. I love this song.
It's a great song, obviously. Fish fan, love it. Yeah, and obviously, you probably are on track there because they were heavily influenced by Steely Dan. Trey was the one who introduced them into the songwriting Hall of Fame, so they have a connection there. So yeah, so I'm sure there's some. They took a little. This was one of those songs. Now, for some reason, I've always heard that this song was about that them dissing the record label. But then I started researching it, and I must have heard that on the parking lot because I cannot find any real definitive evidence of that this was about. Now, having said that, yeah, this was Trey trying that, the record companies are always looking for a hit. And so this is Trey trying to write a song that's kind of a single, that kind of has a fashion, like instead of their little quirky songs that they all have that with their weird lyrics, that this was one of those songs where, like you said, it's trying to put a little emphasis on it. And, if you break it down to its simplistic terms, it's about a breakup and a girl, and I know you deceived me, I played my name around. So that's kind of it, and it's kind of like a little thing now. They play it on occasion, and of course now fans love it because they don't play it hardly ever as much as they used to, but they still play it around, and it's a great song. It's one of those songs that this was one of the start of their trying to be a little more mainstream, for lack of a better word, although I don't think they've ever been mainstream in their lives. So, but yeah, I enjoyed the song a lot.
Hey, I got to echo all of that. We're all becoming Fish fans, and yeah, I was not familiar. My catalog is probably 20, 25 songs of them, and they have such a so many or whatever. But this was one I was not familiar with, and when I first heard it, I thought it sounded to me like it was off their last album, Evolve. And I like that song Evolve so much. I was like, oh, Evolve, that's my new favorite Fish song. And so I thought maybe it was on this one, but when I looked it up, it was like 2012 or 2014 or something like that. I'm like, oh, well, it could have easily went on the latest album. It sounded very much like that. So now Horn is now my new favorite Fish song. New, just because I've been playing this playlist a lot, and it's the first song on it. So thanks, Mike. Yeah, it's good. It's a great table setter for the playlist for sure. And then from there, we had P, and there was probably a lot we could have, Pink Floyd and some other ones that were on there we didn't pick, but I said, I think I'm going to play a Police song, and I'm not super big on all the Police and that kind of stuff. I had a few of their albums back in the day, but I always liked the Synchronicity album, and then the Synchronicity 2 song for some reason. The other song on this album that almost made it, it was real close, is I liked Wrapped Around Your Finger. I just love the vibe of that song as well. But I wanted to go with something a little more upbeat, coming off the Fish song, and I thought that Synchronicity 2 would fit pretty well there. So played that tune. I don't really know what it's about. Something about Carl Jung and I don't know, some philosophy thing or whatever about being in synchronous harmony and all that kind of stuff. I don't care. It's just a pretty cool song. It's different from Synchronicity 1. They have different, two different types of songs on the album. I did read where they talked about putting them back to back with maybe an instrumental in between or something, but they ended up splitting it up on the album. But for a 3-piece band, Police is one of the best, and I don't know. I just wanted to get them on a playlist.
Yeah, they were on my larger list to choose from, and but I had to get Fish on there. So I don't know if I would have put it on or not. But this was on my list. I bought this on cassette, maybe the same trip to the grocery store, the record store, when I bought the final cut. They were both within a few months, or maybe a couple of months of each other. I think one was March and one was June. And I spent the summer of '83 when these came out working for my dad at a restaurant. And that was like my soundtrack of that summer. I'd go to sleep listening, usually the final cut, but I love this record. I still do. This has Every Breath You Take on it, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Or was that Ghost in the Machine? Well, anyway, whatever. There's a ton of songs. Maybe I'm thinking of Wrapped Around Your Finger was kind of the main MTV song. Um, but this, yeah. So synchronicity. I looked this up a while ago. Maybe back in the day when I didn't have a computer. Okay, so and then I looked it up basically today. So it's the idea. It's kind of like coincidence. It's like you have a a bunch of things happen simultaneously that seem like they should be all connected, but they in reality have nothing to do with each other. And I think that's what they were in this song. There's the dad gradually coming unhinged, kind of like a Walter Mitty kind of guy, I guess. And then this creature coming out of this lake, which I always thought of as like that was his anger building. It approaches the house and he's gonna explode or whatever. Supposedly that's what Sting said. That's two elements of it. I don't know, but um, I saw them once and it was this tour. It was pretty good. I took pictures. They didn't come out, but I wish I'd seen them earlier because by this point the egos were just completely so.
Yeah, I yeah, I was a late comer to the police. Like I said, and I think I've said this when we had the last time. There was that guy that we drove with. He took us to Sacker and he played this for the police all the time. That was in his thing, and he just loved him. And he raved about it. Mike Delgado, something like that. Anyway, and so that was kind of a turnoff to him. Like, this guy, he keeps just playing and harping on it and harping on it. That no. But then about 5, maybe 10 years ago, I saw the documentary on them, and I was like, and of course, the drummer, he would eventually work with Trey Anastasia. I'm like, okay, I've got to give these guys another shot. And so I went into Half Price one day and bought like 3 of their early albums, a couple of live ones. And man, like you said, before this album, they are just, they have a lot of energy and smoking. And this is kind of the pinnacle of their success, obviously. I mean, they sold a shit ton of albums and stuff like that. So yeah, and it is a great song, and they have great music, despite each of them hating each other. I can't believe the complete hatred they have for each other. All 3 of those guys that can make such great music, but if you watch that documentary, you're just like, man, these guys do not like each other at all. And then of course Stuart Copeland, he did his own thing, and you could tell they sometimes got along, but man, the hate for these guys is amazing that they can do this. Just goes to show you that you don't have to like each other to make great music. It's just like everyone always talks about team chemistry in sports, and sometimes you don't have to like each other, but you can produce. And it doesn't hurt that you have team chemistry, but sometimes you just don't need it. And to make an album like this is like, well, at least they were professional enough to do stuff like that. And like I said, it was a monster thing in the '80s, and I wish I would have seen them. I'm like, all these bands in the '80s that I missed, I wish I would have seen them. So, and that leads us to Pearl Jam, which is another one. Now, Pearl Jam came later, obviously. I picked I Am Mine, Pearl Jam. Now, that came in the late '90s. Of course, I was just knee deep in my jam base and I was already older and, working all the time. And so when I did hear it from on the radio, or I had an intern who's now very successful, and he would play them. Well, we played sand volleyball out of this place. And so you get a glimpse into it, but it never really caught on to me. So I love going back, and I picked Pearl Jam because I want to get more into music. And this song is a good reason too. I mean, it is a great song with a great message. It's about everyone has life. You get to choose which way you choose it. What you want to do with your life. We all live, we all die. It's the in between that's the important. I think that's a great message of this song. So I'm glad I kind of put it on. I love listening to it, and, patting myself on the back like an idiot. But yeah, I just think it was a good song.
Are you done self-glossing now? Okay. No, it is a good song, and I wouldn't know Pearl Jam from anything. I didn't listen to any of the music, so anytime you throw on one of these, it's like new and fresh for me. And this is a song where I really liked it. I guess is it Eddie Vedder? Is he the main writer and singer? I just like his. I like the pace and tempo of this type of song because sometimes I think of some of these bands in the '90s, Nirvana and Pearl Jam and some of these other ones, and I just think it's just all like grunge rock or hard or heavy or too whatever. And it's not. It's if you really strip it back, this is a really cool song. Gets into that introspective of who you are and what's important, safety, security, all of that. And I don't know. I was digging the vibe. I will say too, not that we've done this before, but we haven't really like graded, or we say, oh, this is one of my favorite songs or whatever. But we didn't really get into like, okay, which was better, the P's, the Q's, the R's, the S's, whatever. But I'm telling you, the Fish, Police, and Pearl Jam for me on this playlist were just really the best. Those three songs went great together, and I really liked all of them. So far, one vote for the P.
So yeah, Pearl Jam. My experience was I heard them like many of these bands from the '90s, working in a restaurant, and it's loud in there. So a lot of these songs I just knew from the music. It was especially you may not be able to understand sometimes what Eddie Vedder's singing. He has a very distinctive style. And so like the song Jeremy, I had no idea what it was about. I just liked the arrangement. And then I heard what it was about, and I'm like, oh. But this one, yeah, it was the same deal. And so I don't think I ever really came back. I've grown to like them more. And I really respect I don't think if Eddie Vedder inducted the Who into the Hall of Fame, or there was some connection with the Who that I thought was really cool. I should have researched that, but yeah, I really like the message behind this. It's also kind of, to me, it's like, you know, craziness, people's whatever is there, but you own your life. That's my life between birth and death. That's all me. So for that part, I like the message completely from that. So
They did do stuff with Neil Young. They did a whole album,
oh yes, Mirrorball.
right?
I have that. I love that record.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Highly recommend that. Um, and not to be confused, I think another album called Mirror Ball by Sarah McLachlan. Maybe it was the same name. Anyway, whatever, doesn't matter. So we move on to the cues, and I didn't want to pick Queen because I don't know. There's any number of things I could have done. I just also, the one I probably would have done would have been Death on Two Legs, which in no way follows that last song. It might have followed better Horn, just because it's like such anger or whatever, hurt feelings. And Death on Two Legs, if you look at Horn being about, you know, from the perspective if it was maybe a commentary on maybe how they were used in the record business, Death on Two Legs is definitely the story there. But that's not the song I chose, so I digress. So I picked Queens of the Stone Age. That's where I was going. I picked Queens of the Stone Age, a band who I'd heard of, but I'm like, I don't get what that means. I didn't really ever. They're newer, not brand new, but relatively new. And so I'm like, okay, I'll check them out. So doing this, I listened to a bunch of their songs, and I'm like, I really like these guys. Why don't I do more of this? So this is why we do this partly, and it's great. They had another song I really liked that was more mellow, and for some reason I just thought this fit in. I'm sorry, the song is In My Head, and I think it's about a couple that's breaking up, or maybe they're just separated, and the singer is missing her, excuse me, and but I'm not really sure. There's a couple of songs on here I really like, and I'm not really sure what they're about. But I thought it was great. I like the guitar. I like the real upbeat kind of thing to it, or at least the sound. So
Yeah, it's a nice song. It's a great, and it's good that it follows Pearl Jam because they're from Seattle. They were part of that secondary grunge, post grunge scene, and so that's how I had heard of them. Again, I wasn't into the grunge scene, so until later, and then once you start catching up. But yeah, I thought the song was great. I love listening to it in my head, and it's kind of introspective of like I Me Mine in my head, what's in your head? What are you thinking about? That kind of stuff. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a perfect fit with the Pearl Jam. It's funny how, because I know I've been thinking about this, how all three of us from like probably 90 to 90 to 2000, that we were doing our life thing, so music wasn't at music's always important to us, but not at the point where like when we were kids, like let's go to the concert, let's do this, let's go. I gotta find new music. Instead, we were living life. Sure, vicariously we'd hear music here and there, but it's not like we were out buying per se and doing life. I don't want to speak for all of y'all, but I think that's another reason. And if you weren't buying grunge when it first came out, it's hard to say, well, yeah, I'm just gonna go knee deep into that, So anyway, I'm glad we're now getting into it, like a lot of these songs. So
Yeah, that's exactly it. I liked the way it flowed from the Pearl Jam song. I didn't know that there was a connection with the Seattle
I didn't either.
music scene or anything like that. It's good to know. But yeah, I like the song. I can't say a whole lot about it other than it just seemed to flow really well on the playlist. And again, my exposure to it was to Queens of the Stone Age was non-existent. So we're exploring some new music, and that's always good. The playlist is flowing real good, and then I guess the other thing is, well, spoiler alert, the next song was mine, and I chose a Queen song, and then after that Jose chose Queensryche. I don't think we'll ever find a playlist where we all have the word Queen in it, and three bands with the same word Queen in it. That's probably not going to ever happen. And again, we got to Queen, and there was so much to choose from. I probably listened to 2 hours of Queen before I made the selection, because I went back and was just listening to a bunch of stuff, and I ended up settling in on kind of broke the rule a little bit, two songs, but it's "We Will Rock You" and "We Are the Champions." They were always played together on the radio. Usually didn't hear just one version, one of those. They always played them right back to back. Total was 5 minutes, so wasn't that big of a stretch. But in hindsight, though, not a playlist regret necessarily, but I had so many other Queen songs that I was going to play. And as I look back on what I played with the Police, and then later on, spoiler alert, a Rush song, they were both, the Police and the Rush were both in that same 82, 83 time frame. And when I was looking at Queen songs, I was going to put something on in that same time frame as well, something off I don't know, like Cool Cat or something like that, more of that early 80s kind of vibe that they had that would have went well with the Police and the Rush. But instead I just went with, hey, the "We Will Rock You" and "We're the Champions" was late 70s, I think 78 or 79, somewhere like that. I was probably 13, 14 years old, and this became like one of my favorite songs when it first came out, and I was listening to it all the time. And probably before I even got into Queen and listening to and buying albums and listening to all the other Queen stuff, other than Bohemian Rhapsody, this was probably the next song I latched onto as a radio friendly, song that I heard a lot. And anyway, so probably one of the more popular ones, and not a deep track, but I went ahead and threw it on there.
I would object to nothing about this song. I love this song. Did I say that right? Anyway, I love this song. I think it should have been one song. I mean, pretty much everybody thinks of it as one song. When you hear it on the radio, it's both. They're put together. But I love it. If you had to stack it next to Bohemian Rhapsody, I would choose it anytime. I know it's like they do so many interesting auditory technical things with Bohemian Rhapsody, the whole opera thing. But I still, the song is just so motivational. And I remember when it came out, I loved it, and it's stuck with me. Yeah, there's nothing else I can say about it. It's a great song.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you cover sports for 30 years like I did, this song's enduring quality for from the time it came out for 20 years. If that wasn't used when you won a championship at the high school level, at the college level, even sometimes at the pro level on TV, this was the song. This was it. You know, we are the champions. We will rock, you know, and then We Will Rock You was more like, hey, let's get the crowd fired up. I remember Spurs games, they would play this song, you know, and it was just so massive. And of course, We Are the Champions has endured, and I'm sure schools still use it to this day when you win a championship because it fits. It's timeless. It's one of those songs that never gets old. You play it, you love it. Even in the movie Bohemian Rhapsody, which isn't the greatest, but it's all right. But one of the best parts I like about it is when they're trying to write the song. Sure, it's cheesy and they're stomping, but you realize, oh, is this how, you know, it's their way of how they put it together. But it's interesting, like, oh yeah, and then go into that. So as bad as that, it's not a bad movie. It's an all right movie. I enjoy that quality, that aspect of it. How they come up with the song, how they write it, and of course, it became a part of our lives forever. You know, so yeah. And I don't like.
Before you go on, I remember reading about how they came up with the thing for "We Will Rock You" was something about how they were playing the concert and then they went off stage or whatever, and the crowd kept doing a different song or whatever, but it was that same kind of. And they said, "Man, we need to write something that has like a, you know, boom 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 boom," and that's how they you know, because they did a lot of crowd interaction already and did that. And so after they came off stage and the crowd kept singing an a cappella version of maybe one of their songs or whatever, they said, wow, we need to come up with something like that. And that's kind of how they came up with the idea for "We Will Rock You."
Yeah, wasn't it the bass player who had that riff? You know, he came up with the riff, the bum bum bum, and then they went off that. But yeah, it's a like I said, I think it's a fantastic scene in that movie, as much as that movie has its ups and downs. So from there, of course, as Dave mentioned, Queensryche. Now, Queensryche was a band I was introduced early because they were a heavy metal band, and in the '90s they were an up and coming band as I was kind of heading away. But they were always interesting, and you know, Jeff Tate is their singer. And so I thought, well, I'll pick one of their songs, and thinking, like most of these heavy metal bands, there's always a ballad or something like that that always comes out of it. And sure enough, Silent Lucidity. And I do kind of remember the song, but as I listen to it more, all I think is, how can you tell you love Pink Floyd without saying you love Pink Floyd? This song has all the elements of a Pink Floyd song. The beginning of it, you know, the middle, the big ending, like Comfortably Numb. And so, but it has its own take on it. I'm not saying they ripped off Pink Floyd in any way, shape, or form, but they have those elements of it. And hey, that works. And this is a great song. I didn't realize that it reached like #9 on the Billboard charts, and it was really popular in '92. Got nominated for a Grammy. Again, '92, I wasn't listening to Queensryche at all, but listening to it now, you know, first of all, yeah, this guy. I can see Dave Gilmour singing this song, no problem. So yeah, so I picked that song, and I thought it was a great little song to put on the playlist.
Well, of all the Queensryche songs that you could have picked, I think this is probably the only one I would have been able to know that was Queensryche. And that was about the extent of it. You know, maybe a couple of other songs they had back in the day, but this is an example of, you're right. The power ballads, or the ballads, of the softer songs that all these rock bands had. I use this as an example sometimes. Songs like this and other songs too. There's like ones from whatever, Black Sabbath or Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, whatever. and I would take those soft songs and I would play them for my dad, and I would say, see, Dad, they're not all satanic worshipers and bad heavy metal. This is a beautiful piece of music. Don't you agree? You know, and it wasn't his style at all. So he'd be like, well, yeah, it's kind of nice, but yeah, not whatever. But yeah, this is one of those ones that I would have probably used as an example back in the day. I think it was the MTV generation or in that time too, where I remember seeing this as a video or something like that, and play it a lot. So it's my favorite Queensryche song. That's not saying a lot, but it's anyway. I thought it went real good with the cues.
You know, I'd heard the name Queensryche. I remember that. I don't remember ever intentionally listening to them. But I do remember this on the radio, and it still wasn't really on my radar. And I'm glad you put it on here because the lyrics, it is really interesting. Before I actually looked up the lyrics, I was thinking it was a song about a kid who had a relative who died and is coming back to comfort him. But it's apparently more about lucid dreaming and how that you can like shape your life or do things in your dreams that may strengthen you in your waking hours. I thought it was really interesting. And yes, the Pink Floyd thing, I absolutely heard that. I was thinking, boy, it sounds a lot like Roger Waters. And then
Yeah,
the solo arrangement, that part sounded like Comfortably Numb. Um, but no diss against them. It's good stuff. So um, from there, I went to Radiohead, which I've been threatening for a long time, and it just hasn't worked out that I had found a place that because the songs are there first off. And I went through a really heavy Radiohead phase, and I'm now waiting. They've after many years of dormancy as a group, they've individually been doing stuff. They've kind of dipped their toe back in, and they're touring Europe. Whether they'll ever come here or um, do put out a record, who knows? I've never seen them, which I had a number of chances. The closest I got, which I still kick myself over, I went to see REM on the Monster Tour in Dallas. So that'd been about 95, I guess. And so I was like, I'd heard of Radiohead. I think maybe Creep was on the radio back then. But and they opened for him. I don't know if I said that. So Radiohead opened for REM. But a friend of mine, we went beforehand to get some drinks, and we're like, should we get another one or get over there and come see Radiohead? And so we didn't. And we show up just after they'd ended. And then within a few months, I'm like, oh, these guys are great. And I would kick myself over it. Anyway, so maybe I'll get to see him someday. This song, their lyrics are typically pretty cryptic. This is no exception. I think reading them, because I never really read them when I was kind of preparing for this, I didn't think it's maybe synchronicity or at least a coincidence. It's a similar idea in some ways to the previous song. It was not intentional, but it's like just like in Silent Lucidity, this person who's dealing with his dreams and the fear and all that is being comforted by whoever the narrator, the singer is. And in this one, it's in part doing that too, But I think one of the things I really like about it is how it starts mellow and then builds up to this kind of really. They have a few songs like that, and they're all songs I love. And when we put the video together, I mean a YouTube playlist together for this. They have a really interesting video for the song, so you can watch that. When this comes out, it will already be up there. So
Yeah, Radiohead. I just for some reason just can't turn the corner on. I'm slowly getting there, and I put a Radiohead song on just so I like we do these playlists. I want to delve into them more, and and I think the initial pushback I think for me was when they were coming up. Obviously they had the big hit, but then they're always like, oh, they're Pink Floydish and they're this, and you're thinking this is no, this isn't. And so you fall into that trap of thinking, why are they comparing them to Pink Floyd when I should just be taking them on their merits and their music? So once you got that unfortunate bias, for me into it, I was like, and I've heard, believe me, people at work would give me their albums, there's Thomas York, the solo albums, and I was just like, this just doesn't cut it for me. Now, having said that, this is again one of those songs that starts growing on you. You start paying more attention to it. That, like I said, I'm sure in the future I'll start picking it up more. It's just like the songs like Elvis Costello for me. We've all talked about that. Where it has to have, for me, it's that slow buildup of, okay, let me really take a step back and start getting into it. And this song is a step forward in that direction. I really like it. I'm enjoying it more and more as I hear it more and more. And I think that's what it's going to take for me.
Well, you hit on it, a couple of things where really this was from, the 90s to the early 2000s. There were just bands and groups that or music that I really wasn't paying any attention to. This is another one that is on that. So I only know a couple other songs, and this isn't one of them. But I liked this one. It starts a kind of a shift in our playlist a little bit to some different type music coming out of the cues that we had. I don't know if how to classify it necessarily, because it's kind of in that, I don't know, the genre of it is I don't know, where do you put it? Is it like a punk rock sort of thing, kind of moving towards that? Is it more of like a, I don't know how to categorize where they're at with their music. But anyway.
Well, Mike, what do you like about them? I mean, tell us what you find that you like, because I'm with Dave. They're not in a category, obviously. They're their own music, and that's how you got to approach it, I think.
Yeah, I think, see, I didn't like him very much at first. I mean, I kind of bought into Creep as much as people are like roll their eyes now when it's played. I thought it was a well-written song. But I don't know, when I got into him later, it was just like the wide range. I think it is that kind of indefinability, if that's a word, that I like. It's like they do this kind of stuff. They did a record that was almost all electronic. They're just kind of, and they're not writing pop songs. Again, the first album or so, I guess they have to do some more commercial stuff. And so it's a different, but I also, like I said, that really driving thing in some of their songs. Also, like this song, a few of them, they get you like at the end. It's like all of a sudden, you mentioned, what's the one robot one? Or what is it?
Computer.
Okay, Computer. There's a song that's actually based on Marvin the Paranoid Android from Life, the Universe, and everything, or whatever it was. I'm not saying it right. That was the first book, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But it is such a dark, it's like inside this robot's head as he's like melting down. He's going to kill all the humans and whatever. And it's just that like craziness to it. I don't know how to, it just kind of hit me when I was in a certain place and stuck with me. But then I like the mellow stuff too. I could see how his voice might get on people's nerves if they're not into it. But so yeah.
Anyway, it's not a bad song. It's and it kind of right there towards the middle of the playlist, it kind of shifts things a little bit. And at that point, we were on ours, and Rush hadn't been taken, so not to steal all the the Police, Queen, and Rush, but it was pretty easy.
I didn't realize
it was pretty easy for me this time on this playlist. Like we talked about the past playlist. Okay, I came in with the Linkin Park, right, or whatever. That was out of the blue, I just started listening to some of their music and picked one of their songs. On this playlist, I didn't. I just said, "All right, Police. Oh yeah, I'll pick one of their cool songs. Oh, Queen. I'll pick one of their. Oh, Rush. I get to pick whatever I want from Rush. And same kind of thing. So really, on this playlist, not that I went safe, but all my choices were just ones I already kind of knew. I didn't do any exploring at all on this one. So with Rush, though, it's like there's so much to choose from with that. And as we know, we heard the 50-year reunion tour, whatever it's called, right?
Right.
They're gonna be touring, and we saw there's dates in Denver and San Antonio
Right.
next September, October timeframe. They got a new drummer. I'm not gonna. What's the name?
Oh, that woman. I don't
Andrew.
I don't know, but she's amazing. I don't know, we maybe have talked about this.
What?
I can't remember her name either, but
It was like a German name or Swedish name or something. Or
hang on.
should know this. It's not Neil Peart, but
know. No, it's not.
Annika Sorenstam. No.
Oh,
Hang on. Annika
Golf.
Nils. You got the Annika right, but
It was
Nils.
Annika. Okay. Okay. Well, there.
It's the golf. Love it.
But she can play the drums, that's for sure. And so anyway, I'm trying to pick a song, and probably not my favorite album of Rush or whatever it was, but it was during my high school years, when they came out with the Subdivisions, and so I thought, okay, I think I'll pick something off that album. Which one should I pick? Signals, I meant, and I picked Subdivisions. It was played a lot. Thought about the Analog Kid or something like that, but anyway, I chose Subdivisions. That's always a cool song I liked. So when they switched into doing more of the keyboard electronic kind of stuff as well, so it was a little different type of Rush than the past. And but anyway, thought it would make the playlist, and seemed to fit well.
Yeah, so my experience with Rush was a little bit different, because I'd heard them and I knew of songs like Working Man, and then, even some, they were longer. So like the early stuff, unless you were an album rock station, didn't get played so much. By this time they were, this song Subdivisions got played a lot. And this was kind of the point. This is the turning point for me where I got into them. So this one and Grace Under Pressure, which I think is the next record, were really that's where I got into them. And then I kind of went backwards. I've done this with so many bands. It's like that was my thing in the '80s, and I love the record. I guess looking at the whole catalog, I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it has a certain place. Is Red Sector A on this?
No, that's on Moving Pictures, right? Oh,
No,
is that?
that made it. Didn't that make it on our playlist?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say.
No, that was
But-
on Grace Under. Yeah, it's afterwards, but yeah.
Okay.
The other song I was thinking about was from Moving Pictures. I was gonna play Vital Signs. I think that was my other one I was gonna choose.
Well, it was a good song, great choice. And by the way, you said you didn't do much research into this. I don't object to any one song that you put on there. I like all of them. So
The Streak
it's not that. I'm not talking about any
on
other
this
playlist.
playlist.
No other playlist, just this one.
Just joking.
Give him a hard
No.
time.
Have a good time.
You pick lots of great music.
Hey, now Ray Stevens, man, come on.
That's when we go individual. uh, Obviously, Rush is a San Antonio band. It's just one of those things that they played Rush a lot. I grew up listening. I knew 2112. I was first introduced to him, and then Richie, Jez De Leon, our friend, he had seen him on that 2112, and like
Wow.
2112 and Ted Nugent's Double Live Gonzo were like the premier things when I was a 13-year-old, and this is the heavy, this is the stuff, and of course Rush was a part of that. And then of course when they broke out with Moving Pictures, man, they just took off. I mean, we were in high school, they 22, and of course, who doesn't remember Tom Topol playing the shit out of that CD? And everything following that. But he, especially moving pictures. I mean, you couldn't get in his car without having listening to that album.
Tom Sawyer was cranked to
Oh
the
my
max.
God. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
right. And he could do the drumming too. So
Red Barchetta.
Red Barchetta.
Red Barchetta was my song of choice.
But I
back
found
then.
it interesting that you did pick this song because it was, and I remember at the time people were like, "Oh, they're using synthesizers and using this, and I don't like the new direction." There was a split amongst the hardcore Rush fans, you know, from wait a minute, you go from this to this, and so there was a slight, you know, division amongst the fans. But let's face it, their fans are loyal. The song is great. It really is. And like you said, we can identify it because I live in the subdivision, in the concert halls, in the, you know, and talk about subdivision. It's kind of like how we grew up. You know, we were in the subdivisions. We
Be
were
cool, be cool or be cast out, man.
right. Be cool or be cast out, and that was a big part. And that's a lyric that you don't forget. So, and I saw them in '85 at that Texas Jam. I thought they were great. I think we saw him the next year in San Antonio, so I've seen him a couple of times. Always fantastic. Obviously, we'll miss Neil Peart. I'll just throw this out there as a side. I'm sure we can do a Rush one and really talk about them, a whole Rush chrono, because they just have a massive catalog of great songs, even after, you know, that Rolling the Bones. And a lot of people, their later stuff they don't listen to as much is something that needs to be delved into. So anyway, it was a great choice, Dave. Yes, I don't mind you pick it. Sometimes we need, I've said it before, you know, you need that reminder of what's, it's good. It was great then and it's great now. And while you don't listen to it, you know, all the time, it's there. So from there, I went a little, and I noticed that I did a little pattern here. The last couple of them I went, or the last two I went jam band scene. And mine was, and full disclosure, I was at my brother's house and it was a get together. And I was like, "Hey, I'm making this playlist. Anyone got any R's?" You know, just to throw it out there. And out of nowhere, Robert, who's, you know, slowly become a jam band guy, he's like, "How about Rusted Root?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, Rusted Root. I really like those guys." And they evolved out of the, like I said, and I've said it before, like the Blues Travelers, been that 94-ish where these bands would come and go in the jam band scene, even though they may not have been totally jam band, but they were part of that scene. And they actually opened for the Dead at Three Rivers and when I saw them in '95. And I always like their music. I think it's upbeat music. This is my not one of their hits, but Ecstasy is another song that's really great. So I thought I'd go Send Me On My Way, because I felt that it was kind of a different song. I've also, just to brag a little, I've interviewed their drummer before, and my article actually made it on his website. So if you're wanting to read my article on his web, so real nice guy, a great group, a lot of fun loving group. I think they're still touring around a little bit. So I just thought I'd throw in a little fun loving song there. You can thank Robert.
I liked it. I thought I really liked I don't know what it was, the whistle or whatever in that song,
yeah.
whereas how they, you know, whatever. It was really cool. Yeah, it reminded me of some of the other jam, like it was like a little bit of like Railroad or Earth or something like that, or String Cheese Incident. Some of these other ones that you play, they sound very very familiar to that. So I liked it. I want to listen a little bit more of Rusted Root, and this was one of my favorite songs on the playlist. And it kind of flowed into the next couple of few songs. So I think, I don't know if we were in a good rhythm there or whatever, but I really liked the next like 5 songs or so. You know, the Rusted Root, Spoon, Steely Dan, Strings Cheese, and then Talking Heads. I think all of those kind of went real good. So anyway, it was a good part of the playlist for me.
Well, Dave, you just gave a spoiler for the rest of
I know.
the video. I'm done. No,
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
The
No,
next song.
so kudos, first and aside, kudos to you, Jose, for getting an article on their website. I think the closest I got to that on was it the 10th anniversary of the Davidian stand-up, actually the end of it. I worked for the Waco Tribune Herald, which of course is, you know, very close to where that happened. I was there after, obviously, 10 years later, but they did an article about, they had a series about that, and I did an article having to do with law enforcement and what they did and yada yada. And so it got on a conspiracy website. So that's as close as I get to a rock band website. But all right, that aside, yeah, I thought so. I'd heard of this band, kind of. They were in the periphery of my consciousness, and then I remember there was a radio station used to be here called KGSR, which I really liked. But you know, they played a wide range, but this song really fit in with their kind of format. And I remember hearing it, I recognized it. I thought they were South African until I looked it up, because I like that whistle and the whatever the words he uses and the kind of rhythm of the singing. But that whistle sounds like something you would hear. I don't know what the instrument actually is in South Africa, but you would hear in a lot of South Africa, like Hugh Masekela and a lot of. Anyway, so it's a good song. But again, I didn't realize they're all. It's an American band. No,
Pittsburgh.
no South Africa there.
They're from Pittsburgh, PA.
Yeah, yeah. So I went from there. We're in S now, and I had a couple of different choices, and this doesn't really necessarily flow. I don't know. I guess you're right, Dave, but it is a different sound. I picked Spoon. This is, I think, the second or third Spoon song we've had on. Jose mentioned it the other day, and I forgot. I forgot I'd put it on. I was like, oh yeah, I was gonna put one on, and then he's like, no, you did. You know, anyway, yes, I did, and I like this one. I'd still, I kind of have a shallow knowledge of their music. It's like certain songs, and I even saw them in concert once at Austin City Limits Music Festival. But I really like them, and I definitely want to hear more of their stuff. I don't know what the song exactly is about, but I like it's this kind of upbeat with a lot with piano, which I think helps it flow into some of this. And I don't know what else to say. It was at the last minute I changed it. I can't. I think because of Way. It had the Way in it. I had a couple other in the last song, in this song, whatever. How good a connection that is that I don't know, but. Oh, okay. One more thing. I mentioned I used to work at a record store here in Austin, and we had a promo person who would come through and strongly encourage our manager, who then would come talk to us. All right, you need to get. We play music over the sound system. You need to put this heavy into rotation. And she brought one time this. It was one I mentioned on a previous playlist. One group like that. I don't know if it's Maroon 5 or somebody like that, but this is one she included in that group. I didn't realize they're an Austin band, at least by birth. So yeah. But anyway,
No, I'll say it. It's my favorite song on this this playlist. For whatever reason, it clicks with me, and I think it's a great. It's kind of like has a Kinks sound to it, and so that's when Mike brings that up because while we were going to Paul McCartney, they're like, "Hey, there's a Spoon concert right now. They just popped up. You can go right now for $30 and go see Spoon." Heck, if I would have known that, I probably would have gone to see Spoon. I'm really liking how the way they sound, and I love the song, and I like, how the kind of the message of it. That's the way we get by, working. And so, yeah, I just thought, man, this is one of those things that, and they're an awesome band. So if they play around here, I think I'm gonna go see them. I really want to go see them. Again, like I said, my last 3 concerts have been Peter Gabriel, Santana, and Paul McCartney. I mean, maybe I need to get back into the 21st century, but I enjoy this band a lot, and I hope I get to see him at some point.
Yeah, I liked it too. I was digging on the piano part of it, and I don't know, just a cool song. I think it went real good after Rusted Root too, and it kind of changed the tone and tenor of the playlist a little bit. But didn't realize that they were an Austin band or came out of Austin. But yeah, it's a way cool song. I have to listen to a little bit more of Spoon. Do have other probably hit songs and stuff that are out there.
Well, you used them once before, right, Mike?
What did I use? Oh, I used on the radio.
Yeah, that's a good
And
song.
what I was gonna use, they have another one, oh, it was a newer one. It's like what we need when it's like when the master comes to the house, everybody knows there's gonna be trouble. What we need is an accident. I think it's No Bullets Spent. Yeah, so that one, that was gonna be my choice if I
Great.
picked them, but I changed it.
I didn't pick up on this, but I'm looking it up now, and it said there were 3 references to Iggy Pop in this song.
Oh, they do.
As we
Yeah,
go
there's like in
Shake a
parentheses in the
Feel,
lyrics.
which
ahead,
is
sir.
odd. Shake a Pill was a single from Iggy Pop's album or something like that. So I guess they had some um yeah, anyway, some really hidden messages, I guess is what it was. It wasn't like they say Iggy Pop, but they make reference to some of his music in this song. So anyway, go back and listen to it again, see if we can find the Iggy Pop references.
Hmm.
Well, anyway, from there, we were into the S's, and at this point, I had to completely resist my urge to go Supertramp because I was going to go Supertramp. But with Rick Davies passing away, we'll be doing a in memoriam of the artists and whatever passed away this last year. I'll probably try to find a Rick Davies song for that. But and then I've said this before on other playlists. It's like if Mike keeps beating me to the Steely Dan, I'm gonna get mad because I like a lot of Steely Dan. I just never get a chance to put them on because Mike usually beats me to the punch. So this was my opportunity to go back into the vault a little bit and look for some Steely Dan. And I was gonna put on one that was just probably one of the most famous. I was gonna go like I'm just gonna go Ricky, Don't Lose That Number, or Reeling in the Years, right? I'm just gonna go the classic, most iconic Steely Dan song I could find. And then I said, no, I'm going to go with what I've been listening to recently, and I came across this song "My Old School," which is, again, I've known it for years, but I think I saw it on one of my Facebook feeds where he was playing it live. And when I saw that, I went, that is a way cool song. And I knew it was cool, but now I know it's even cooler because I saw it recently on a little video of it. And so I said, all right, that's going to put this song on there now. And it's just, again, it's one of my favorites. And I think it went pretty good after Spoon.
Yeah, I think it did. It's one of my favorites. Like I said with Radiohead, but way more so. I went through a heavy Steely Dan period that I'm not sure it's over yet. To the point when I worked in that same kitchen, I was told to quit playing Steely Dan so much. So we've had a cut. You're right. I think most of the songs I put on were from Royal Scam, and this is, I think, Countdown to Ecstasy. Great song. Kind of a funny way of putting a really bad experience with a girl from back in college. And I think my favorite line on here is which says, or part is which says, California tumbles into the sea. That's the day I'll go back to Annandale, which is, I guess, a university. And then the horn.
Where's Annandale at, by the way? I was wondering, is that by William? Because it mentions William and Mary, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if that's where they went, or they went to both the guys in Steely Dan, the two met at a college, and either they went there or they dated somebody. One of them dated somebody from there, so it's worth looking up. And just on that same line, California tumbles into the sea. The horns kind of like it's. I like that part. So there's nothing else I can say. I try to hold back and not put too much Steely Dan on, but I'm only human.
Wow.
Says it's in Virginia, Annandale, Virginia.
Yeah, I think they went to Bard College. I wonder where that is. Let me see. Hudson, New York. Oh, Bard College is a private liberal arts college in Annandale on the Hudson, New York. So it is about their school.
There you go. My old school. Yeah, I never have to worry about putting on a Steely Dan. I just let you guys handle that and enjoy it because this is a great song. And of course, I'm always a good sucker for a horn arrangement anytime they throw that in there. Plus the songwriting, anyone who could use oleander in a song, they got my vote. It's one of those things that you're just like, that's pretty awesome. So yeah, and it's just a great song to listen to. Like I said, you guys, I never have to listen, and I even think I have some vinyl Steely Dan and never really listened to it. I think they might be Dave's. I'm not for sure. I'm not going to say that for certain, Dave.
Maybe.
But like, why do I have Steely Dan and don't listen to it? But then they might have been incurred. Anyway, a fantastic song, great Steely Dan. We talked about them, how Trey and you, how they were influenced, and obviously Fish was influenced by them. They've influenced tons of acts, and this is just another one of those songs that is right up there. And I'm glad that you picked the deeper cuts. I always like that. Ricky, don't lose that number. I probably would have skipped over. Just there. But if you would have put it on, I definitely wouldn't have said no. So from there, I went back to again. I must have been in that jam band, so I went with String Cheese Incident. I've used it before, and y'all called me out on it, deservedly so. But I went with Born on the only because I thought they kind of went. I was getting that funky feel from Steely Dan, and I know String Cheese kind of brings that same kind of vibe that Steely Dan does, albeit obviously a little different, and let's just face it, not as great, but a fun-loving band that puts on a good show all the time. In fact, now they do every year. It's called Halloween, and they do it down in Florida, and they do a festival there, a whole big old festival with them, and they play it all. So I just thought I'd reintroduce them, bring them in just for a little fun, little funkiness into the playlist.
I'm glad you did. I like this is another one of my favorite songs on the playlist. Yeah, don't have a lot to say about it other than it's just a really cool song, and kind of like that the vibe of some of those jam bands that you bring into it. I mean, that's we say jam band, but really they're not far off from folk, acoustic, those types of things anyway that we like to hear. So it's really not a stretch. Sometimes we say it's a jam band, like they're just going to be playing 20-minute long solos or anything like that, but it's really not. They have very melodic and very, very good lyrics and tunes and stuff like that. And this is a good example of that. So I think I was probably born on the wrong planet, but
I think we all feel that way sometimes.
Yeah, it's all.
I'm sure there's a 20-minute version of Born on the Wrong Planet live somewhere.
And going what you just said about jam band, that classification, it's like the older I get, it's like I don't get those classifications. I get okay, like metal, you kind of hear it, but jam bands can be everything from a bluegrass sound to something like Dave Matthews to Los Lobos. They get looped in there too, and a lot of times, and that's like it's such a wide range. I completely agree with you. Blues, rock, whatever, and the long songs too, and whatever.
Yeah, well, that's what it is that if you're going to go see a jam band, you're probably going to expect at least them doing improvisation for a little while. And I think that's what kind of separates them from. Now, do the Los Lobos do it? Yeah, sometimes, not as extensive as, let's say, Fish, who will do, throw you in a 15-minute version of something for the fun of it and do it 4 times thing. So yeah, I don't disagree with you that, yeah, let's face it, labels are labels, and wherever they're gonna, and you hate to be so capitalistic, but wherever they're gonna sell the most tickets is the band. Just like the bluegrass band. The bluegrass bands don't fall in line with mainly the country and western people, which you think they would. But for some reason, they found this little niche with the jam band groups because they tend to extend their bluegrassiness. All of a sudden you get a banjo solo, then you get the bass solo, and then you get the guitars, but then the mandolin guy goes off for 15 minutes. And so that's why I think those bands like Billy Strings is the hottest guy, and he's coming to Austin. I don't know if you want to go. Billy Strings is coming, and he is the hottest act in the jam band scene right now. As much as Fish is, he's right there. He is just, they love him for whatever reason. I'm not so, but it's bluegrass. It's just bluegrass music. And you're thinking, why aren't you playing for the country and western? Well, the country and western folks don't necessarily get into the bluegrass the way Billy Strings plays it. So anyway, sorry about that rant.
No, it's fine, and I'm sorry to keep going with the same thing, but why? And I know there are some jam bands that have jazz elements, particularly like, and excuse me for calling again using that term, like Fish. There's a lot of jazzy kind of stuff to that. I hate the word jazzy. That's not what I meant.
No, I know.
But that's so much of that is about improvisation.
Right.
It's interesting that it's kind of, some elitist, some music snob will go, oh, Coltrane live at this whatever, just amazing. They all go up, but then it's like write off so many of these bands, which is unfair. So like it's a lot of it's hyper marketing, and people just need to. And again, as a younger man, especially, I fell into this, but need to kind of categorize stuff to know if it's their stuff, the kind of stuff. So
So it's like Lettuce and Turquoise, groups that are heavy emphasis with horns, but don't do the bluegrass, but they'll play a 15-minute version of a Talking Head song, or something like that. So all of a sudden, you're hearing these horns. Lettuce, of course, is like Earth, Wind, and Fire on steroids. You're gonna get a 20-minute song sometime, or stuff like that. So I think because, for lack of a phrase, jam band people love that improvisation. I do. I'm guilty of it. That's what plays to those audiences, and of course, we're willing to shell out the bucks to hear it. So anyway.
I guess I better talk about the song itself. So I like the song. I was gonna say, I don't know how this will be received, but it almost seems like a more up tempo, upbeat, kind of similar song to that. What was it you put on last time?
Yeah,
Must
that's
have
the song.
been a little off, or what? I can't think of the name. It's like
Restless
similar,
Mind.
It's like, yeah, I must be from a different planet. I am not fitting in with this thing. I like it. And did anybody else, did it occur to anybody else that there's a part in there that sounds a little bit like The Music Never Stops?
Mhm.
That's when I heard it, I'm like, oh, cool. So you guys have covered everything else about it. And speaking of the Talking Heads, we're in T, so I've tried to steer away from them and David Byrne a little while, because it's another one of those I put a lot of songs on. But I put on Found a Job, and this is the live version of Stop Making Sense. Jonathan Demme, talking about the Brian De Palma video, Jonathan Demme directed this movie. And then if you see some of his other stuff, you're like, okay, I guess Silence of the Lambs, Stop Making Sense. But yeah, it's a very talented guy. But I I saw this movie back in the day, and it's so much fun. I mean, David Byrne, just kind of like all the contortions he does, the giant suit, all the other stuff. There's one song that he runs around the stage, like around the drum riser all the way back behind. Like I think almost through the whole song, he's just like running a big loop. But Found a Job. I had heard it recently on the radio or somewhere. Maybe it popped up in my playlist, and I love this song. I think was it off? I think it's off More Songs About Buildings and Food, or 77, one of those first couple albums. And it's just a fun song about a couple that they're really bored with what's on TV, so they decide to make their own TV show, and it takes off. Which at that time there wasn't really when they did the song, there wasn't really the internet. There wasn't, and all the different what am I the reality shows and stuff. But it's kind of that's what they're talking about. This couple decides to do their own show. So nothing else I can say about it.
Yeah, them re-releasing it recently, what, the last 5 years?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, they re-released, I saw it on IMAX 4K. In fact, Harrison is doing a Q&A here in November. I don't know where it's at exactly, but he's been on tour where he'll come out and discuss you can see the movie, and then he comes out and discusses it. So it's still going strong, and you really can't get it. Probably one of the top 5 all-time concert movies, to see. Bernie Worrell's a part of that group. If you don't know, Bernie Worrell was in Parliament, Funkadelic, and so yeah, I mean, you can keep putting on the Talking Heads as much as you want. And now David Byrne's on tour on his own, and I've seen a lot of positive reviews on this latest tour that he's been doing. So not to stray away from the Talking Heads, but yeah, I mean, he's still got it. This song is fantastic. That movie is just, especially since they redid it and added, remastered all the music. It's a masterpiece unto itself. So, I don't know how it fits in on the playlist, but I love it.
Well, I haven't seen the movie, so where can I find it? What streaming platform would it be
I don't know
on?
if it's streaming. Hold on.
I meant to look that up because I wanted to put, when we put out the playlist, the YouTube thing, I wanted to put out this version, and there's like almost so many other songs from that movie, and for whatever reason, this isn't available. You can catch a lot of the clips though on YouTube.
Yeah.
Called Stop the Music, right?
Stop Making
Making
Sense.
Yeah.
Stop Making
It's,
Sense.
It's not available on any streaming at this time. It's on Prime if you want to buy it, but it's not on anything at this time.
Huh.
According
Bet you have to check it out. Yeah.
Oh, it's one of the best. Well, Psycho Killer unto itself at the very beginning, with him doing the solos. Yeah. And like I said, Bernie Worrell, highly, So anyway, go ahead.
No, I thought it was good song. I think everything was flowing really good there between Radiohead all the way down to Talking Heads, and it's kind of like enjoying that whole vibe. And then we were on the Tees, and I'm like, okay, what do I do after Talking Heads? And I don't know why I went back to old school rock, with Thin Lizzy. Don't know a lot. I know probably 4 or 5 of their songs, Jailbreak and that kind of stuff. But The Boys Are Back in Town is one that I've always loved singing and jamming to. And I don't know, it's just a cool Thin Lizzy, Phil Lynott song. So I thought I'd give them some run here and give them some attention. As probably Jose will say, if you've been to any sporting event, you probably heard this song too. They always seem to play it at sporting events. At least I've had that here when I've been to baseball games in town. It seems like this one always comes up on the track. But anyway, yeah, Thin Lizzy this was probably like the late 70s too, right? Like 70,
Mid-70s.
yes, mid 70s. So anyway.
Yeah, this one was a staple of album rock stations, and it's still on rock stations. It has definitely stood the test of time. And yeah, I like it. But it was kind of my entrance into Thin Lizzy. You mentioned Jailbreak. I like that, the cowboy song or whatever it's called. It's a great song. It's like I can see some dude driving around 78 in his T-Bird or whatever with his buddies listening to this, or Slow Ride. But this is much better than Slow Ride, but it definitely conjures an image to me, So let's see.
Friday night we were Dressed to Kill down at Dino's Bar and Grill, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. This was our anthem as my brother. My brother owned the album. If you lived and I know what day, because if you lived in San Antonio, this song was played a lot. I mean, Thin Lizzy was a San Antonio. Not that it wasn't everywhere else, but San Antonio, because it is more a hard rock area. My brother had the album. We loved this album. We sang it all the time. Me and my brothers, we're the boys that are back in town. You get that kind of, yeah, the boys are back in town. And so it holds a special place because it does remind me of me and my brothers who would listen to this and think, yeah, this is, and of course, he gets, the woman hits him and everyone just laughs about it and just thinks it's that fun loving song that, that really plays let's face it, adolescent teens who are growing up and yeah, we're the boys, we're back in town and your buddies. Yeah. You throw this one on, as you get ready to go out on the town. So I like it. It's one of those, like I said, it holds a special place for me because it really reminds me of my brothers and me and how we listen to it and our first introduction. That's why I know mid '70s, late '70s, because we had this album and played it a lot. So from there, another one that another I don't know why I keep saying it, but San Antonio is Triumph. I went with Triumph. And I did go with one of their hits, even though I probably should have, but I thought this one went more with the thing and how more with the Thin Lizzy and the bluesiness of it, and When the Lights Go Down, which isn't hardly played, but was played a lot in my house. We had Triumph. We listened to Triumph a lot. Triumph was huge in the early '80s. Saw them at the first Texas Jam I went to. Saw them in concert here in San Antonio. So seen them a couple of times. In fact, did I go with you, Dave? Maybe the one time. So I know I went with somebody. It was either you or Rick Evanello.
Well, it was my um, second concert that I ever went to was Triumph.
So
Van Halen and then Triumph.
okay. So yeah. So and I like this song. Yeah, they have the hits. We all know them, but I like this song because I just think when the lights go down, after it's a concert feel. When the lights go down, then the real party starts. And everyone knows at a concert, in my opinion, the best part is right when those lights go down. All of a sudden, you're just fired up. Like, here we go. We're ready for the journey. And if the band delivers, it's the best part of the concert. So that's why I put it on. Again, I thought it went well with Thin Lizzy. A little rock, a little blues. So
I listened to a lot of Triumph, but for some reason, I think this is when I kind of stopped listening to them, or it was after graduation. It was probably this was probably 84, 85 time frame. Not the Fight the Good Fight and Magic Power or whatever, all the other hit songs they had before that. I think I kind of maybe I lost interest in them a little bit after that and didn't really keep up on the stuff in the late '80s. But this was a cool song. I was not familiar with it, or I hadn't remembered it. It's a little heavier duty and a little less commercial than some of their other stuff, but it's a way cool song, and you can definitely hear the trio in there. We had a few trios with Rush and the Police in there, and then with Triumph is another three-piece band from Canada as well. But yeah, they're good. Did they finally get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or
I don't think they are still.
they're not in there yet, right?
They should be,
Right.
depending on who you think.
But a good way to end the playlist. I liked it.
Yeah, did we use this on an earlier playlist? Because I know this song from somewhere. I know we used Blinding Lights Show before,
Yeah, I
but
guess we used it back in the day, but
well, then if not, it's probably so I went through a Triumph phase, but it really was just the one record. And I think it was in part because I heard they were a Canadian trio, and I was way into Rush, and then Allied Forces came out, and I bought that. I really liked that, and I saw them on tour. Excuse me, it was a great show, and I can't remember who opened for it, but it'd be them, but it'd be somebody we'd all know. Anyway, and that was I think the first show that I took pictures at. Well, I was up close, but the first I took pictures at that they actually came out, and there's some pretty good ones. And I have not been able to find them. I hope they're in there somewhere with the negatives. But anyway, yeah, I like the song. It just bugs me where I heard it. My buddies were all into them too, so maybe that was it. And of course, when I saw them, I'm sure I heard it. But so overall, I think not overall. I think it's a real good playlist. I enjoyed it. I listened to it. Of the playlists we've done for a while, I think I probably heard this more. Not because it has more merit than the others, but for some reason it just kind of clicked with me. I like everybody's songs. No objections at all. And we're getting ready to do the last alphabet one coming up, but we'll talk about that later. What do you guys, any final thoughts?
yeah, I just thought it was a great, like I said, this is one of those playlists that kind of exemplifies what we do. You got some classics, you got some new, you got some we're just getting into. So yeah, I think that we're on the right track. You know, like I said, sometimes it gets difficult with the cues and and the letters and what you're gonna pick. But I think I like that we sometimes think out of the box, and then sometimes we don't have to think out of the box. You know, there's no rules though that we follow, and that's what I think makes the playlist as good as they are.
Yeah, we'll see that a little bit more manifested in the last UVWXYZ. There's a little bit harder ones to come by for some of those, but this one was quite easy because it just seemed like it had a lot. Other than the queue, we had a lot of great bands to choose from. Probably a lot we left off as well, but it's fun putting it together, and it's fun doing it. This was again, this for me, this is a good playlist. I've listened to it several times, and I think it'll endure the test of time. So looking forward to the next one.
Okay, well, good. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks guys for participating, and keep up the good work, and we'll see you guys soon.